going on? What's up, guys? Didn't see you there. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Bit of a shorter video today. I could say it's because I'm super busy with the channel, which I am super busy with the channel, but also I just got Arc Raiders, and it's fun. I'm gonna have to carve out an amount of time each day that I'm allowed to play it, though, or else it's gonna become a problem. If you want some killer MTG content to hold you over until our next bigger upload, you can go check out Power Budget TCG. Cody over there makes some hilarious, super entertaining, and more importantly, super informative Magic content that I feel like is in a similar stream as me. We're both doing very similar things with the Magic community, so go subscribe to him. Tell him Nick's Lotus sent you. It's happened, everybody. Alert those guys in rap battles that go, because something dope was says, because I was down on the go talls. Now I got a slow fall. Yeah, I'm short. That's why they yelling go smalls. Yeah, I was wrong about go tall creatures. I've always had the opinion that go tall creatures are just inherently bad. It's probably because some guy when I was like 8 or 9 did something real. No, when I was 8 or 9 told me like, yeah, they're not good. Going tall is not good because it just dies to removal. And I was like, whoa, amazing. Thank you. Please tell me what else to think. And if you don't know what a go tall creature is, go wide in Magic is when you make a lot of bodies like a token deck or an aggro deck. So go tall is when you make fewer bodies, but those bodies are bigger and more powerful and they scale over the course of the game. They go tall. Think of like a Voltron commander or like a 1/1 counter deck that like is mainly about buffing up 1 or 2 creatures, but only think about that because the point of this video is to convince you that these go tall creatures are not only way better than I thought they were, also I think that there should be a kit of these creatures ran in almost every deck, and I'm going to convince you as to why. Or maybe I won't convince you at all as to why, and you'll be more convinced as to why not. But first, my PR guy asked me to read this. Any claims I make of something being good or bad are strictly opinionated. These are not facts. And I apologize in advance for any opinions I may hold strongly. I'm also sorry for saying drawl and fur, as well as any bad decks, card suggestions, or strategy concepts. Any opinions you have far outweigh any opinions here on Nick's Lotus. Also, we apologize for any offensive thumbnails that you have made. I'm not reading this. Let's talk about some go tall creatures. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The biggest 2 reasons I thought go tall creatures were bad were 1, for some reason I thought they were exclusively mid or late game creatures that would require mana, time, and evasion to actually do anything. And the second reason was they would just die to removal, so why would I run them? So I had to sit with myself and really address why I thought this. And I came to a conclusion. 1, the whole they're only mid to late game creatures that require a lot of turns to do anything and evasion is just wrong. There are so many go tall creatures that come out turn 1, 2, or 3, like Kasi Trickster getting 1/1 counters whenever a player shuffles their library. Starfield Mystic offering a cost reduction to enchantments while also getting a 1/1 counter whenever an enchantment we control dies. Or Yahenni having haste, getting a 1/1 counter whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, and being able to sack a creature to give itself indestructible. And as far as time is concerned, we just saw with the 3 examples on screen, you don't have to wait very long for these to get big. Plus, we're playing casual Commander here. I know it's like fun to watch any Commander video and be like, yeah, but really, how efficient is that? We're playing casual, my guy, and scalers are inherently going to be very good, I've found out. Now, most of the time, games aren't ending on turn 4 or 5. Unless you run Maelstrom Wanderer, you little sly dog, you. That's okay. I put a Boromir in my deck just for you, my guy. And the whole go tall creatures need evasion to be useful. Sure, they're more useful with evasion. They're also incredible blockers, and they're also just good attackers because people are going to have to throw stuff in front of them inherently. But sure, I'll give. There's also a ton of scaling creatures that just have evasion that are inherently very good. Cards like Vulture Zombie have flying and get a 1/1 counter whenever a creature goes to graveyard from anywhere. Mana Gorger Hydra gets a +1/+1 counter whenever a player casts a spell, and has trample, yikes. Or creatures like Guide of Souls that provide a 1 life gain when a creature we control ETBs, as well as an energy that we can turn into 1/1 counters and flying for a creature. This one's very nice. Life gain, built-in buffs, built-in evasion. This is the ultimate scaler. I'm going to put one of these in Arna immediately. And then my second big reason for not running these go tall creatures was it just dies to removal. I'm not going to spend 2 or 3 turns building this thing up into a 5/5, 6/6, 7/7, 8/8 just for someone to Doomblade it. But then I really thought about my logic here, and that's really stupid because by that logic, I'll just take apart my Arna token deck because every time someone plays a board wipe, I'm getting X for 1. That's way worse than getting 1 for 1, so I'm never going to run tokens again. I'm also not going to run artifacts because my super powerful Mystic Forge or Unwinding Clock is going to get something as simple as Vandal Blasted when I play it. So they're not only going to 1 for 1 me, they're also going to save more mana than I am, so I'm just not going to run that either. I'm starting to put more and more of these scaling creatures in my Moxfield list. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. and I am 100% going to put more of them into my IRL list. I've already put a couple into Arna. I'm looking for a couple to put. No, I actually just put a couple into Taval as well. I put Myco Tyrant in Taval. Because, yeah. Let me ask you a question. Why do we, on average, as commander players, run 10 to 15 removal spells? Well, we want to make sure that we see a few of them. We have 3 other players that we're dealing with, and if a few problems hit the battlefield, we want to make sure we can deal with them. But this also means another thing. Removal is finite, and that might seem obvious, but outside of a few niche builds and control decks, their whole deck isn't going to be removal. They run a kit of it to deal with anything threatening, and that right there is the important word to highlight and zone in on here. Threatening, meaning they could threaten to end the game or put the opponent in a position to end the game. Removal isn't a thing that we just fling out over any given thing that hits the battlefield. We remove threats with it. Now let me ask you this. If your Spellslinger deck runs a good 10 cards along with the deck strategy that can win the game, and decides to also run a 5-card kit of scaling creatures that fit within the deck's theme, like Electrostatic Infantry, getting a counter whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, Blazing Bomber, getting bigger when you cast non-creature spells, Levitating Statue, getting counters for casting non-creature spells, or cards like Chasm Skulker or Toothy Imaginary Friend, getting counters for drawing a card. Along with the Rogue's Passage in hand, does that not cause a serious problem for your opponent's removal section? First off, when these creatures have a few counters on them, they are not big enough threats to remove, but still get in some good damage here and there. And if the opponent is smart enough to remove them early to prevent scaling, the opponent just used one of their removal cards that they now can't use for one of our potential win cons. You know as well as I do that casual commander turns into a battle of attrition most games, and if you can have the extra package of scaling creatures, more often than not, I am convinced you will gas your opponent out and you will win way more games of casual commander. Funnily enough, Shabazz the Sky Shark was one of the reasons I made this video. I was goldfishing my Taval deck, which is easily one of my strongest decks I've ever built, versus my budget Power Esteem deck, which you can go check out with the link up top. And that deck has so many huge mill effects and threats that I used my removal and counter spells on that Shabazz ended up just getting massive and laying my ass out before I could even do anything or get milled. I was just beaten to death by a shark. My favorite ones of these scalers are the ones that buff themselves up, obviously, and then when they leave the battlefield or die, they give you a little treat. Stuff like Gurgling Anointer gets +1/+1 whenever you draw your second card, as well as having flying, and returns a creature with mana value less than its power when it dies. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, baby. While Alondra the Dusk Rose gets +1/+1 counters for creatures dying, has lifelink, and will create X/1/1 vampires with lifelink when it dies, equal to her counters. Yeah, this is going in Arna. I don't know why this wasn't in Arna. It's going in. You can also hold opponents at gunpoint with cards like Jury, Master of Review, Heartfire Hero, or Rapacious Guest, offering a 1/1 counter scaling, along with damage or life loss when they die equal to their power, making these some real haymakers in certain decks. And yeah, you can find these in like any strategy. You're running Reanimator, Haunt a Night Tower is pretty good, turning mill into 1/1 counters. What about Gurgling Anointer that we talked about? Reanimation, 1/1 counters for drawing your second card? Sure. You're in an artifact deck, Kappa Cannoneer can get huge and unblockable, Sir Ginger can get big and gain you a bunch of life. Find like 4 or 5 of these little scalers that work in your strategy and try them out in your deck. I actually almost guarantee you that if you play casual commander, they will feel incredible. They'll either soak up some removal so you can play some of your other win cons, or they will just chip away and people will be like, damn, that Vulture Zombie's a 14/14, but he's also about to cheat into play an Omniscience. Don't know what to do here. This is something I've been noticing changing in the way I build decks on Moxfield. I've been wanting to talk about it. A little bit of a shorter video, so I couldn't find a good time to upload it because I've had some good ideas that turned into a little bit longer videos. So this was a perfect time to upload. It gives me a little bit more time to edit and work on Friday's upload, which I think you guys are gonna dig. Like I said, go check out Cody over at Power Budget TCG. He makes hilarious, super entertaining, very informative Magic content. I think you guys would really, really dig it. So go subscribe. Tell him Nick's Lotus sent you, the big dog. Make sure to subscribe here. Hit that bell, do all that stuff. If you want to show some additional support, you can become a Patreon member, YouTube member, starts as low as $1, where you can submit your deck list for Friday Night Deck Reviews, submit some of your favorite obscure cards for card list, stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going to go back to editing. Totally not playing a couple rounds of Arc Raiders, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.